right. Hello and welcome to today's stream. I'm Frank Lavinia, and let me pull up my little graphic here so I can verify who I am. Just wanted to say, never fails. I always get a bunch of instant messages when I start this. All right. So, short of it is, we had gotten a kit for my younger son's science experiment. They had a science experiment, and part of what motivated this was, and I say this because right now there's a wind advisory in effect for where I live in Maryland, and oddly enough, um, even when there's not a wind advisory, it gets windy here, like ridiculously windy. When there is a wind advisory, it's even worse. So I was out just a few minutes ago and all the trash cans were tipped over. Fortunately, the lid hadn't blown them off across the thing because last time we had a windstorm, there was trash just everywhere and it was quite the experience in like ridiculous wind chills going around and picking up trash from over not just our yard but the neighbor's yard too, plus the neighbor's yard beyond that, which I think altogether is probably maybe 5 acres if you kind of add it up. um, well, more than that. So if you added it all up, going across that much land in a windstorm, picking up trash before things get worse, and I know we didn't get it all because it just blew away. So with that in mind, about a couple weeks ago, we had another wind advisory, and all the trash was blown out. Unfortunately, we got it earlier this time, and I thought to myself, you know, we should really be turning this into electricity, right? Because if the wind is going to blow, might as well and be annoying. Might as well get something out of it. Well, the funny thing is that in the summer, the constant breeze is actually really nice. In the winter, not so much. So we're coming up on being here a full year. So I now have a better appreciation for the weather patterns here. So that got me thinking, like, hey, what if for a science experiment we do a windmill and kind of demonstrate how it is? Because with the preparate is the ultimate goal of the ultimate goal of basically putting in some kind of wind turbines on the property, and not the ugly kind of ones you see. But at least I think they're ugly. I know that gets me into some trouble with some folks. But I have a 55-watt solar generator, right? Um, and rather than just get solar on the roof, right? Which we eventually want to do, but also kind of get wind turbines. And they have wind turbines now that they look more like they look more like HVAC units, right? And everything's kind of self-contained, and you can kind of line them up. And it, supposedly you get 1.5 kilowatts out of each one. And our old house, we had a whole house generator for power outages. So, string, 10 of these together, you would get pretty close to being able to take care of your electrical use. One of my stretch goals is kind of getting, if you look, I just messed up the focus. I'd like to get all these monitors on some kind of renewable kind of power source that I don't have to pay for, right? Obviously, there's a green advantage too, but I think that would be kind of cool, right? I was inspired by a YouTuber whose title name I forget exactly, but after they lost power in Texas, his shop was flooded, so he put up a bunch of solar panels. And yeah, I mean, solar panels are fine. I do have some experience building a solar generator and stuff, but I want to try wind because it'd be kind of cool. And there's a lot of stuff you can buy on Amazon, right? It's not really like kind of a hard thing to find. I want to share this video, um, which is kind of an over dramatization of what happened to our wind turbine. Look. So imagine something like that, a bit smaller, is what happened to our wind turbine. I actually had it on the deck, and because the deck is kind of high up, so it caught a lot of wind, and it was working really good. It was charging batteries and stuff like that. But I look out there and I'm like, oh, it's really going fast. I should probably take it inside. And as I opened the door, I saw it all fly apart. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is what is left of the wind turbine. And it actually doesn't even, like, I think the gear crank shift is broken because you would normally hear it kind of like humming and a little LED light would turn on. I think it's completely hosed. And if you look, two of the legs broke. I mean, we had a really crazy windstorm when this happened. I still haven't found all the parts. Like like the other two, I saw it, and I'm glad I wasn't outside because I would have. I don't know if I would have gotten hit with it, but it would have been a lot scarier. That's for sure. So, um, if you kind of think about it, I understand. I I don't know if anyone out there with any experience with wind turbines. So long story short, because of that and some other family things going on, um, my second grader wasn't able to do his science experiment. But there was another wind turbine somebody built with it looks like coat hanger wire and Dixie cups or something like that, which I thought, oh, that's interesting. But it would have been blown apart in this wind. So that gets me wondering, like, what sorts of engineering challenges could you do? Now I know what they do if it's going to be a windstorm, they tend to shut it off, the wind turbines. But to me, that seems like a waste of energy. I don't know. Just it's a Tuesday afternoon, and I'm pondering the big questions. Like, how could we make this better? I mean, I probably still will do some more wind experiments, but obviously I have to be a lot more careful because, nobody was hurt. It was in the middle of the day, so the kids were at school and nobody was on the deck, but the whole thing flew apart. I don't know. It just seems like as cool as wind power is, it seems. Um, let's see, wind turbine. Show you this one. Some 2-bit Da Vinci. He has and he has a lot of experience with renewables, right? Here it is. Well, let me turn this back on. So he claims, according to the thumbnail, that you get 16 times the power, and I think that's going to depend very
This
much
video is sponsored
largely
by ZipRecruiter.
on
Harnessing the
what you do, right? So that's kind of the traditional wind turbine that you see, and I think the problem with those is they're just really expensive and they're extremely large, right? So there's a whole bunch of here we go. So this is kind of the turbine that he's talking about that you requires a lot less space and it requires a lot less permitting and things like that. I do wonder though, like what would happen if it did get too windy? Can we get a picture? Bit Da Vinci. There you go. Aeromine. And that's basically it. So the example that they use, like I don't think I would put this on my roof per se, but there's definitely somewhere if you had a scaled down version of this. I think this is I don't know, maybe it's a better design. Now I don't know how this would work if what happens if it gets in the storm, does it fall apart, does it break? Is there some kind of safety thing that you can kind of encapsulate it? I don't know. Like this is just it's an interesting problem space, shall we say. So that's it for me today. Just to update folks on that, it is with a heavy heart that I say goodbye to my little wind turbine. Maybe I'll use it for spare parts or something else. But I mean, the devastation was pretty thorough. Two legs and two rotors. I don't know. Um, Fortunately, this wasn't that expensive. The kit was maybe $30. I think I spent almost as much on the batteries, which if that's not a microcosm of the economics of renewable energy, I don't know what is. But I do want to do more experiments with this. When I told the science fair folks that, oh yeah, our science project was broke, we had to stop it because the windmill broke, and she said like, no, that's science too, and I was like, oh yeah, it is. So that would have been an interesting story. Certainly, having a broken windmill would have looked interesting. Um, but that's it for me. I'm going to walk around my house, make sure the trash hasn't blown out across the neighborhood again, and all sorts of stuff like that. You have a fantastic day.